I never am really satisfied that I understand anything, because, understand it well as I may, my comprehension can only be an infinitesimal fraction of all I want to understand about the many connections and relations which occur to me, how the matter in question was first thought of or arrived at, etc., etc. If you can't give me poetry, can't you give me poetical science? Forget this world and all its troubles, and if possible its multitudinous charlatans. Everything in short, but the enchantress of numbers. That brain of mine is something more than merely mortal, as time will show. The analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. It can follow analysis, but it has no power of anticipating any analytical relations or truths. Its province is to assist us to making available what we are already acquainted with. In considering any new subject, there is frequently a tendency, first, to overrate what we find to be already interesting or remarkable, and, secondly, by a sort of natural reaction, to undervalue the true state of the case, when we do discover that our notions have surpassed those that were really tenable. Many persons who are not conversant with mathematical studies imagine that because the business of Babbage trademark S analytical engine is to give its results in numerical notation, the nature of its processes must consequently be arithmetical and numerical, rather than algebraical and analytical. This is an error. The engine can arrange and combine its numerical quantities exactly as if they were letters or any other general symbols, and in fact it might bring out its results in algebraical notation, were provisions made accordingly. Imagination is the discovering faculty, preeminently. It is that which feels and discovers what is, the real which we see not, which exists not for our senses. Mathematical science shows what is. It is the language of unseen relations between things. Imagination too shows what is. Hence she is or should be especially cultivated by the truly scientific, those who wish to enter into the worlds around us. The analytical engine might act upon other things besides number, were objects found whose mutual fundamental relations could be expressed by those of the abstract science of operations, and which should be also susceptible of adaptations to the action of the operating notation and mechanism of the ingenia supposing, for instance, that the fundamental relations of pitched sounds in the science of harmony and of musical composition were susceptible of such expression and adaptations, the engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity or extent. A new, a vast, and a powerful language is developed for the future use of analysis, in which to wield its truths so that these may become of more speedy and accurate practical application for the purposes of mankind than the means hitherto in our possession have rendered possible. As soon as I have got flying to perfection, I have got a scheme about a steam engine. I am more than ever now the bride of science. Religion to me is science, and science is religion. I am much pleased to find how very well I stand work and how my powers of attention and continued effort increase. I can throw rays from every quarter of the universe into one vast focus. My course is so clear and obvious that it is delightful to think how straight it is. I don't wish to be without my brains, though they doubtless interfere with a blind faith, which would be very comfortable. Imagination is the discovering faculty, preeminently. It is that which penetrates into the unseen worlds around us, the worlds of science. Mathematical science shows what is. It is the language of unseen relations between things. But to use and apply that language, we must be able to fully to appreciate, to feel, to seize the unseen, the unconscious. One essential object is to choose that arrangement which shall tend to reduce to a minimum the time necessary for completing the calculation. The analytical engine has no pretensions whatever to originate anything. It can do whatever we know how to order it to perform. The intellectual, the moral, the religious seem to me all naturally bound up and interlinked together in one great and harmonious whole. The more I study, the more insatiable do I feel my genius for it to be. The science of operations, as derived from mathematics more especially, is a science of itself, and has its own abstract truth and value. Understand well as I may, my comprehension can only be an infinitesimal fraction of all I want to understand. Your best and wisest refuge from all troubles is in your science. Religion to me is science, and science is religion. That brain of mine is something more than merely mortal, as time will show. Your best and wisest refuge from all troubles is in your science. A new, a vast, and a powerful language is developed for the future use of analysis, in which to wield its truths so that these may become of more speedy and accurate practical application for the purposes of mankind than the means hitherto in our possession have rendered possible. Am I too imaginative for you? I think not. As soon as I have got flying to perfection, I have got a scheme about a steam engine. Forget this world and all its troubles, and if possible, I am in a charming state of confusion. I am much pleased to find how very well I stand work and how my powers of attention and continued effort increase. I am never so happy as when I am really engaged in good earnest, and it makes me most wonderfully cheerful and merry at other times, which is curious and very satisfactory. I am quite thunderstruck at the power of the writing. It is especially unlike a woman's style surely, but neither can I compare it with any man's exactly. I am working very hard, like the devil in fact, which perhaps I am. I think you will be pleased. I believe myself to possess a most singular combination of qualities, exactly fitted to make me preeminently a discoverer of the hidden realities of nature. I can only end by repeating what I have often said before, that I am very troublesome, and only wish I could do you any such service as you are doing me. I do not believe that my father was, or ever could have been, such a poet as I shall be an analyst and metaphysician, for with me the two go together indissolubly. I don't wish to be without my brains, though they doubtless interfere with a blind faith, which would be very comfortable. I expect to gain a good deal of new light, and to get a good lift, in studying, though probably I shall be a long time about this. I could wish I went on quicker. That is, I wish a human head, or my head at all events, could take in a great deal more and a great deal more rapidly than is the case. And if I had made my own head, I would have proportioned its wishes and ambition a little more to its capacity. I find that nothing but very close and intense application to subjects of a scientific nature now seems at all to keep my imagination from running wild, or to stop up the void which seems to be left in my mind from a want of excitement. I have a peculiar way of learning, and I think it must be a peculiar man to teach me successfully. I have got a scheme to make a thing in the form of a horse with a steam engine in the inside so contrived as to move an immense pair of wings, fixed on the outside of the horse, in such a manner as to carry it up into the air while a person sits on its back. I have my hopes, and very distinct ones, too, of one day getting cerebral phenomena such that I can put them into mathematical equations, in short, a law or laws for the mutual actions of the molecules of the brain, equivalent to the law of gravitation for the planetary and sidereal world. I may remark that the curious transformations many formulae can undergo, the unsuspected and to a beginner apparently impossible identity of forms exceedingly dissimilar at first sight, is I think one of the chief difficulties in the early part of mathematical studies. I am often reminded of certain sprites and fairies one reads of, who are at one's elbows in one shape now, and the next minute in a form most dissimilar.
Which quotation do you like the most? Don't forget to subscribe.